All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth, joined by my co-host, Benevolent Asshole, and Trevor Brown.
Hello.
And yeah, we're just gonna kind of talk about some recent what the fuck's going on kind of thing. One video that I kind of wanted to bring up today was something that I'm not sure how old this video is. I think it's like, is it this week or last week's? I don't remember.
Well, you post your stuff a week after you record it, so that's not going to make sense to the audience.
Yeah, right.
Um, let's. I think it's come out within this news cycle. I
Okay.
believe. Yeah.
So yeah, there's this video, and let's just kind of. Okay. Should we be explaining this, or is this pretty straightforward as to what's going on?
It's straightforward, I think.
Well,
It's stuff like that I've seen like all
I
my
guess for the
life.
people who might be like listening or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
put your stuff on like Spotify or anything, do you?
Nah, I'm too lazy to do that right
Okay.
now. I probably should.
So, I guess since this is a video, if they're people are confused, they can just rewind it.
Yeah.
But these.
Okay, so it's I'm not sure where this is exactly, but two cops are just somewhere in some kind of urban area, urban city, and there's two very young black kids, maybe I don't know how to say, like
That one,
5,
right?
6.
The one in the in his underpants, flailing his arms as violently as he can at the police officer, who seems I'm noticing is not doing very many evil racism police brutality stuff.
Yeah,
Even though he has many opportunities to
yeah,
in this video, he's calling him names, pointing at their shoes, calling them he's doing everything he can to like try to start a fight with them,
yeah. If he
and
was,
he's doing it out of hatred, and you could tell he's doing it out of hatred because of the tone of his voice. And this isn't his hatred.
yeah,
This is the hatred that the people behind him and everyone else in my generation, this is the hatred that we've been told to have.
let's
This is the hatred that I've seen everywhere.
let's
Okay,
let's continue on with this video.
I'm gonna, yeah. Paul's taking Oreo. No, I believe if you use the word Oreo in that context, it is a racial slur against mixed race people.
Yeah,
Is that what he said? Like he called him Oreo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's saying
Okay.
he's saying you may be black on the outside, but you're white on the inside. And when they say black and white, they mean politically black and politically white.
yeah.
They don't mean like a human who happens to have the correct and or incorrect skin color. They, so
But yeah, I can't stress enough that
making
this
me
is
want to I want to rip my teeth out,
Mhm.
grow new ones mysteriously, and then chew on them. These children are like, I have no other way of describing it other than they've essentially been manipulated
Mhm.
to be weapons. Like, children
Yeah.
aren't this vengeful and hateful.
Yeah, this
No
is
child does this.
yeah, this is learned,
You know?
but like this is coming from all facets of their life. Like it's coming from just the media, probably their school, parents, all
It's a
this
slow
shit.
progression. Yeah, over the years. My dad can point to when he first came out here to the United States. There's
Mhm.
like a lot more respect for the police
Yeah.
police officers, because for example, like little things like when you're like on the freeway and this is like back in the 60s or 70s. Like you would see, like they would see like a police officer come by, like maybe about to like stop somebody. So people would actually like move out of the way, or they would slow like or
Hmm.
pull over for like police officers. Now, on the contrary, and this is like even like people already started doing this like years ago, like maybe like a decade ago,
Hmm.
where like they see a police officer, they don't care. They'll like try to like go faster than the police officer. They'll like speed up instead
Yeah.
of like slowing down. They just have no respect for police
Yeah,
officers
the
anymore.
level of disrespect that police officers have been getting
It,
has like amped up to like just insane amounts.
Hmm.
Like it used to be kind of a joke, and now it like the joke is it's like taken seriously now, and I like I wonder the people that push this shit, like, do they realize that this can't end good in any
Well,
facet?
it ends the way like the Hitler Youth does, or like it there's all, and like the Soviet New Man
Hmm.
does, the way the whatever the equivalent is in China. I don't really. Oh, the Red Guard.
Right.
It ends the way that does, where I I d- I really just I feel bad for the kids or
Hmm.
whatever. I don't really feel bad for the cops. At the end of the day, this is a job.
Yeah,
If
but
they want, if they no, if they didn't want to get to be treated this way,
mhm.
they could just do something else. This is America, the land of
Yeah.
opportunity. Like, that's kind of the whole point. But like, so clearly they've weighed all their options, and they've
Mm,
concluded that being a police officer has more positives than negatives for them. So like,
yeah.
I don't really feel bad for the police. Like, I don't really like bullying. I
Hmm.
especially don't like bullying as a result of manipulation and lies, the way that these police officers in the US do more generally.
Hmm.
But more or less, like, they made the decision to continue to be police officers, and they're choosing to protect the property and livelihoods of the very people that are treating them like second class citizens. So it's
Yeah.
their decision.
I
the
wonder.
But
second like
these children have effectively been turned into like weapons,
Yeah.
but not like into something cool like a sword or a spear or a gun. They've been turned into ideological weapons used
Yeah.
to enforce the will of others. And I remember when I was in high school, because I have so many of these high school experiences and I always like to bring them up. There was this open black nationalist in my Spanish class in the 12th grade,
A teacher or
and
a
then
student?
student. It
Okay.
was it was it was a posse of
Uh.
students.
Right.
It was in the corner, and then she would always try to like get at it with me, because we also had another class as like later in the day or whatever. And so she was always trying to get at me. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? Well, I come to find out it's because, well, I'm wearing a Trump hat, and Donald Trump is a racist, sexist,
Hmm.
homophobic, alt-right, neo-Nazi, white supremacist. You know.
Did you mention xenophobic? I think you forgot that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah. I forgot the other multi-syllable
Yeah.
word. With does xenophobic have a hyphen? Whatever, I'll figure that out
I
later.
don't know.
the,
But
the, the one thing that we're not pointing out though is like the most obvious one that I saw like when I first saw this video is like the missing father like is just not there. I can guarantee that because I grew up with kids like this.
Hmm.
I can tell like I grew up in I've brought this
Mm.
up many times. Like I grew up in South LA, so I've seen
Yeah.
this like before. I've seen similar situations before, and I can guarantee that that kid doesn't have a father, and then the mother is like this frustrated like woman that because the father's not involved, she's collecting welfare, but then she's like frustrated, so she becomes kind of masculine and she tries to discipline the kid, but it creates all this frustration in her, like, and then she ends up
Yeah.
acting out, having boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend, like a revolving door of like different guys that come into this kid's life as well. So a lot of the people that he's imitating are like for the most part, I'm very sure that is like the mom's boyfriends, all the different boyfriends. Like,
Yeah, this is
I'm sure they're like just the greatest guy, the greatest guys. Because I've seen this before. I've lived this. I've noticed it. That and then like bad uncles that are on drugs all the time, not doing anything, like just like low lives. So it's like they're just imitating like
Yep.
the mom's boyfriends and then the bad uncles that they have around anybody that's around.
This
I mean, if
kid,
you
like
had a
so many
dad,
other
like
kids, it's literally like computer programming.
mhm.
You know?
if I walked out like as a little kid, I walked out with like in my underwear, like in like that, like in like 5 seconds, my dad would come out there and like whip my ass, like at this age.
Yeah, he's
For me doing
pretty.
like
Yeah, he's
Like he's not like a like
yeah, he's
he's still a
like
toddler, but he's not like
it looks like he's like eight
he's
or
like 6.
7, 8 or something like that. Like
Yeah,
he's
something like
relative.
that.
He's
He
in his
shouldn't
fucking
be.
underwear.
He shouldn't be like. Why? Yeah, that's another thing.
It's weird.
Too. And like the other people in there, they're not fully clothed either.
Mm.
and this is the other thing too. This is what creates all the feminists because the guy is out of the picture, and then the woman folds the burden of having to take care of this little this little rat.
Well, there
But it's
are
not really
all
it's
sorts
not
of reasons
so
for feminism.
she has to be sort of like okay the authority figure, like have like those masculine traits, but at the same time she has to somehow be nurturing. That doesn't make any sense. It's like it's a conflict of in parenting. You can't be both the dad and the mom at the same time. That's why you need both of those different the mom and the dad to work together versus just like the mom. And that's the problem with the feminists. You can't be feminine and masculine at the same. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be kind of tomboyish, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work.
But also
It's sort of one of those things where it's like if you have like 2 fists and a fist of iron and a fist of silk, and you just wrap the iron glove inside the silk glove, you're still punching someone in the face with iron. You know, like it's not gonna like if your goal is to not hurt someone, it's not gonna work. You know.
Yeah.
I just started thinking about like the parody that they did in Hot Shots, where like they were like doing the parody of what's that one movie? Kickboxer 2, the Kickboxer.
Oh,
instead of dipping.
Electric
Oh, he's like he's like putting like ice cream things or something like that.
Yeah, because like in the original movie, like he puts on like something to like some kind of glue or something, and he sticks his hand in buckets full of like nails and like
glass. Yeah.
And then like in the movie Hot Shots, like it's the same thing, only except like he covers his hands like in whipped cream, and then it's like gummy bear. So he's like, okay, let's go.
I think
so what does he put the glass shards in the gummy bears and throw and give it to kids or something? Like...
No, it was just a stupid parody. I think that's Hot Shots Part 2 though. But yeah.
It's like they're like old movies. I don't think you probably watched them before. They're like pretty old.
Yeah, it's like a '90s, early '90s, I think.
Yeah, both.
But yeah, this is just fucked up on many levels. And like, let's say that this kid generally has both his parents and stuff like that. Other kids like him do fit the mold that you painted, like, you know, single father. They've grown up in a culture of like no fatherhood, like this baby mama culture shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is a result of that, and like nothing good is gonna come out of this. Like the people that really want the defund the police thing, like I think they're generally gonna ultimately get what they want, and
let them have what they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then but by that same token, the rural communities should not have to deliver food to the cities.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're gonna pillage your own place, fine. You know, but we, the serfs that make your lifestyles possible, don't have to assist you anymore.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Like the only like defund the police angle I can kind of respect is like a much more of a like maybe like an anarchist view of it, of like everyone you know, owns a gun. Everyone kind of
Yeah.
protects themselves. But
If we stopped being Americans and started being Yankees, which is a distinction that I've been making lately, where like Yankees are the idealized American,
yeah,
and I'm a Yankee, and I'm in my full-on Yankee arc right now. And what I'm essentially getting at this past like week or so is that this video right here, this is American culture, right? The CRT in schools, that's American culture.
yeah,
You know, like this is a lot of continental European nonsense, right? But me though, and anyone who disagrees with this, we are Yankees. We're the good Americans. We're the Americans that the rest of the world can get along with because we have common sense, because we actually have American values and American ideals.
yeah.
This is not very American. You know, I don't think Martin Luther King had a dream where some snot-nosed punk calls a mixed race police officer an Oreo
Yeah.
for like not letting for like helping children. You know,
I don't even know what's going on here. Like, I don't even know why the cops like showed up.
they probably
It's-
well
They're probably just walking around. Probably. I mean, who knows?
they probably what is that expression, like while black? You
Oh,
know, they were just walking while cop.
right.
You know,
I mean, there
Kinda-
is two dudes behind the kid that look relatively older.
they're not helping this child either.
no,
No one
they're-
is. The police officers aren't even helping the child.
Yeah.
They at any moment these grown men can discipline this child.
Yeah.
At any moment, you know, at any moment they can do like the bare minimum. At any moment they could say, "You don't hit people."
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's
like
the thing about
person being hit by the child.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's the thing about the cops. They can't really do much. Like I remember, like even in the '90s, like if you would call them, like something would happen.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't really do anything until like somebody was dead, and then like when somebody's dead, like it's not like the person that killed the person is gonna like stick around.
I mean, they keep talking about community policing.
Yeah.
You know, what if the police cared about the community and their actions did that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably telling him off right. Oh no, it just went back to the beginning where
I think there might be just a couple of kids in general. I don't think there's any adults. Because a kid.
why isn't that kid behind him reeling that child back? Oh, I should probably protect my friend because from this person that I think is intrinsically evil. I should probably protect this child from this inherently evil thing that I think is evil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but oh well. Just gonna let this child fight this human being that I consider to be an evil, irredeemable demon for me.
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
I'm just gonna sit back. You know, I'm gonna make sure I'm standing comfortable. Gonna cross my arms. You know, I'm gonna let this child harass two people for being well, in the case of the Oreo, born wrong, I suppose.
This is fucked, man. That is legitimately a baby in the diaper right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucking his thumb.
Motherfucker, man. But I mean, like I think people always are quick to like blame like hip hop culture for this, and I get what they're going at, but I think it's more just a thug, inflating thug culture thing that. I mean, I think the left has to kind of take some responsibility for.
I don't think it's that. I think this is just multiple generate. I think this is what happens when you let the government help people.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is what happens when you let the government teach your children. They will grow up. They will grow up in a cycle of poverty where they hate the others. You know, and it's just.
It's weird
This
too.
is making me mad because like this literally reminds me of like my entire childhood where I'm constantly explaining to people to just be human.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I would tell these children and these cops. Like I would say, listen, Their dads clearly aren't around. Maybe you, who've been put in charge of protecting this place, can start protecting this place. And to these children, I would just say to them, what are you doing? What the hell is wrong? What the hell is wrong with you? Where does this hatred come from?
Yeah.
You know, I know the answer, but the point is, when these children realize the answer, they're going to realize that they're, or at least the one who's currently being the most vengeful, the most hateful,
Yeah.
you know, and the most violent, you know, like everyone's like, this went viral,
Yeah.
you know. What happened? Like he's gonna get employed for a job or something. It's like, was this you? You know, his entire life, he's going to be known as this weapon,
Yeah.
essentially.
Oh.
I don't.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
The story that I get in my head is that the mom. This is all like coming from the mom. I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I'm just theorizing.
No,
yeah.
the
Mom
mothers
is
are at fault
the
too.
mom is
They
like,
can ask
like your
they can
daddy's
ask
not.
the men that impregnate them to stay.
Yeah,
They can
she's like,
use the law to make them stay.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it
But
happens.
I can see the mom say, "Oh yeah, well your daddy's not around because the cops took him, and
Yeah.
he just because he had like a little bit of weed and like he raped somebody and this and that and all this other bad stuff."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so like I can see her run her mouth and just like say all these things over year, just like have all this resentment that, and just feed that to the kids, and like year after year until like they're at the age that they're now, just having that in the back of their mind, and then they see the cop, and then they just trigger something. It's like I remember when my mom told me the reason why my dad's not around is because the stupid cop took him away because he had like a bag of weed and he did this and
Yeah.
that. And it's like, so I'm just gonna go. And so I think to me, I don't know. I've just been around this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's a very likely situation.
The one thing that's super confusing though is the left is very let the state take care of you, but I mean, shouldn't you have a respect for the police if you want the state to take care of you instead of this resentment? It's this
Well, the
weird.
police protect property because that's one of their many jobs. And well, if you're trying to bring about the supremacy of reason, if someone owning anything is not a very reasonable thing, it's a very natural and human thing in order to have and acquire possessions that make your life easier. It's actually one of the things that separates us from animals. You
Yeah.
know, it's actually a demonstration of sentience, being able to like take. See, so once upon a time, over in the Stone Age, conveniently enough, it's called the Stone Age because our monkey ancestors grabbed some stones and banged it against another stone to make a sharper stone, and then this sharper stone that now belonged to the monkey was used to hunt animals better, and those monkeys just survived more. Like it's a very
Yeah.
it's a very natural and human thing to own property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem
You
with the
know?
welfare state is that like the more that you get, the less priorities you have in the long run. So like instead of
Yeah.
prioritizing food and clothes, but they probably don't even have like clean clothes and
I mean, apparently this
just
kid's in
decency.
his fucking underwear, so
Yeah, instead
I
of
remember,
prioritizing that,
yeah,
you see
I was on food.
they buy
In my
drugs
family,
and
we
they buy
had
all
food
this other stuff.
stamps, you know,
Yeah,
for a while, and it's an
yeah,
incentive to not move up higher economically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Exactly. That's an
Yeah.
incentive to complain. Like if you're prioritizing all these things that are not important, so you buy all this stuff using the money that you get from the government, you buy all this stuff, and you don't have money for like simple things like buying them a Happy Meal, something like this, like
Yeah.
food that's like really cheap, like $2.99, spending like, and then you complain like, oh yeah, well like I'm in this situation, like nobody's helping me out. No, you're getting help. That's the problem. The problem is that you don't have your priorities straight.
Yeah,
And
being taken care of like that will always have some negative effects. Like I was on unemployment back in like 2009 or something like that for maybe a year, and that was probably like the most depressed I've ever been. I was happy in the beginning because I thought like, oh, free money, I can do whatever the fuck I want. But then like that burden just keeps growing and growing, and then you feel trapped. And when I look at stuff like this, like it's stuff that like people mostly on the left like just don't want to admit that, like the flaw in this kind of shit. And
Well, they want fully automated luxury communism, which is stupid, but they want it.
yeah,
You know, because they don't understand why people should have to work in order for things to be produced. If robots can do everything,
yeah,
you know. So what they want is they want a bunch of soy jacks to just be like these scrawny, decrepit, lonely losers, and then and then eventually some dump trailer will bring in just products that
yeah.
could just fall down, and then everyone rushes over to the products like Gollum. It's my precious, you know.
Hold on, let
Takes
me
everything.
I need to turn off my screen for a second.
Okay. What should we do?
I think he's gonna come back, right?
Should I keep
Otherwise,
talking, or
otherwise he should probably like edit this part out.
Good.
okay? I guess I'll just.
Yeah,
I guess I'll just.
yeah, he's gonna be back in a minute. I think he just turned off the screen, but he's still here.
Okay.
This is like the screen
Okay,
part.
I'm back.
Right. We were talking about what we should do.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool.
No, wait. Let me close the door. 1 second.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Isn't the door closed? No.
The Senor Filth
there's
video.
another one.
Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, I'm back. But also, like I remember watching, like I used to watch a lot of Maury back in the day, like Maury Povich. Do you know Maury, the old talk show? It was kind of always known for having like the he's not the dad, he's not the father, paternity tests kind of shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
like
know,
Jerry Springer,
the meme. I know the meme. But I didn't watch a lot of TV.
He's not the father.
Yeah.
And the guy starts dancing.
yeah, like does like a break dance or shit.
Yeah.
But I remember watching one, and like there was a woman that was like, she's been on, I think she was on the show multiple times, and like, you know, hasn't found the daddy yet and kind of shit. And I think
at that point, she doesn't deserve to find the father if she was literally on national television pleading to figure out who the father was multiple times.
Yeah. I remember like Maury would always like cheer on the mother as like, you know, they're doing great work and all this shit. And I was always, even as a young kid, just thinking like, no, that's terrible. Like those kids are not gonna have a dad, but also like that's their mom on television.
Yeah.
Like
admitting on national television that she doesn't know.
Yeah.
That she has no idea what she's doing with herself. But the thing is, it's like, if you don't have a father in the house, you can have a father in your life. If you're a child, like the child can find a father in their life if they go out of their way to seek it out for themselves. And for me, you know, this is a joke that I would say in high school. I'm actually black because I haven't seen my dad in 7 years. It's been 10 years now, but that's the joke that I would make.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like I never like felt that I didn't have a father figure. You know, I had my grandpa, I had my uncle, you know, I had the doctor from Doctor Who, you know. I had I had my moral lessons or whatever from like all the movies and stuff that I would watch and things like that. And these children, like, don't get me wrong, like you have to, like, you know, it requires like some sentience, so like, you know, but if you're in this kind of situation and you're 10, literally find one. Like, don't bring a stranger into the home and say, "Mom, I want you to make this man my father." Don't do that. but like if there's like a good teacher in your life or whatever. I remember there was this janitor in the high school gym.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name was like Omar or whatever. The dude was awesome. You know, I literally, like I remember this like perfectly. I literally swept the gymnasium floor at high school
Mm-hmm.
for him because I just wanted to talk to him because he was an interesting dude. You know, like
Yeah.
there's no reason why like the child can't find father figures if they're missing a direct dad. You
Well,
know, that's what you're supposed to do.
yeah.
Believe it or not,
Well, the
you're not
problem.
supposed to just wallow in
Yeah.
in yourself. You know, and when you're the mother, you know, you should probably like make sure that they look up to someone in like a particular like movie,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I remember what was it? Who was my first? Who was my? What was like my the first movie character I looked up to? Let's see.
What movie?
Well, like I'm just thinking of like any kind of like movie or show that
Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching. That was like, oh, father figure, Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That was like I'm not kidding. I'm
You're
not
talking
kidding.
about the
I
uncle, right?
learned so many lessons from just listening to whatever the hell he had to say.
Uh-huh.
So many. And they're useful too. I use them in everyday life. I use them to shut down people I don't like. You know? I
I think
remember
he changes like his
this one
character,
episode,
like
Tales of Bossing Say,
yeah.
and then Uncle Iroh, he literally got mugged by a dude, and then after beating, like throwing him onto the ground, he's like, "Let me teach you how to properly mug someone." And then after he finished teaching him that, he then sat down with him and had a cup of tea with him, and then was like, "Why don't you turn your life around?" The guy that he just got mugged, you know, and then and then this like young guy or whatever was like, yeah, maybe I should turn my life around.
Yeah.
Thanks, random old guy. You know, like there's no reason why like the mother can't just put on Avatar: The Last Airbender, because like children are really good with symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
like naturally. That's why we make children shows that have symbolism. It's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why modern cartoons suck in and of itself, because there's no symbolism. There's just
Yeah.
the cartoons just do cartoon things.
I mean, they are preaching stuff to kids, but that's a whole
Yeah,
other
yeah,
thing
but that's not
nowadays.
symbolism. That's
Yeah.
ideology.
But
Well, yeah, like you,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, well, yeah, like if you're lucky, you might have like one or two like really good mentors like over the
Mhm.
course of your life, and I think it's a matter of just like knowing or acknowledging or like knowing who they are. I think sometimes some people may like overlook them just because they don't know, like, oh well, this
Mm-hmm.
compared to like everybody else,
Hmm.
they think it's like somebody that's not important. So I think people just need to, Trevor is saying, like, just be on the lookout and just like if
Yeah,
if it's somebody that is helpful, that is trying to like really help you in your life, like you should
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like let them, I mean, go under their way, like just like let them guide you in the right direction, because there's those people out there too. But you guys also have to be cautious. It's also the people that want the opposite of that. But
yeah,
just be very
but
critical
yeah.
on who you trust.
But
But
there's
there
no
are
reason like none of those kids in that video, right? There's probably one of those kids has a father figure in their life, and there's no reason like when any of these children are feeling down in the dumps about like not having a dad or whatever, there's
Mm-hmm.
no reason the one that has a father figure can like just go, well, this is kind of like my father figure or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and like and go through the motions like that. And I'm just like, I don't know. But the problem is these solutions are pro-human, which means they don't bring about the supremacy of reason, which means half the country is not going to like it. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't get done because you have to please that half of the country, or else we're not allowed to do anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh well.
So what makes it hard is that like these kids do eventually find a quote unquote father figure, but that father figure that they're going to end up
Yeah.
finding is usually kind of a you
A
know,
gang.
a gang
And
or
that's
something like that.
not a father figure. A
Yeah.
gang is someone who like gives the aesthetics of a father figure
Yeah.
to someone, and then uses that child that they're pretending to be a father figure to like use them to do things that they don't want to do themselves.
Yeah.
I hate, like, I don't hate gangs. I hate gang leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Gang leaders piss me off. They really do.
But also, like,
They're like a violation of every single one of my principles simultaneously, and that is what they do for a living.
yeah.
You know,
Also, like, I mean, you know, thug culture is so glamorized nowadays. I mean, and it's been like that for maybe like the early 90s,
my entire
maybe.
lifetime.
Yeah. So,
My entire lifetime.
and
I don't know if you guys ever saw like there was like I don't know if it was like Bone or I was the other member from like Bone Thugs and Harmony, but
mm-hmm.
I think both like two of them at one point or another came on and they interviewed and they disclosed that there was like a meeting, a secret meeting in the early '90s
Mm-hmm.
where they went to this mansion with like a bunch of I guess it looked like executives, like the people like in business suits,
Mm-hmm.
and they had this contract where they for the next like decade they had to make music that kind of like just glorified the thug culture, and like a
Yeah.
bunch of people were just like, "What the like fuck is like?" And then some of those people were like escorted, and then like some people in like,
Mm.
um, and then I think one of them like got like tried to like intervene. He's like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" And then like one of the guys like pulled like a gun on them. He's like, "Well,
Yeah.
you're gonna do
Well,
this
at any
anyway."
point, any of these
Yeah,
rappers or artists can
yeah,
just make something wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could still do the like even if they're in the golden handcuffs or whatever, they can like make one or two wholesome things.
The
You know?
problem is like when they do go wholesome or just away from the gangster shit, like they don't really get that much like airtime or
Yeah.
that
Well,
much
Eminem
promotion.
was in the golden handcuffs. He
Mm-hmm.
still wrote songs like Stan or whatever and things like that.
Mm-hmm. But I
You know?
remember even like I remember like MC Hammer was big in the early 90s, and he generally just made kind of positive songs, and he even
Mhm.
made a pro-Christian song. What was it called? Like We Gotta Pray or something like that. And at the time, like a lot of thug like he was seen as like a sellout by a lot of, I think like Ice Cube
But
went
all
at
of the
him.
people making multi-million-dollar contracts
Yeah.
to that glorify situations that make
Hmm.
everyone's lifestyle in these places worse. They're the genuine
Yeah,
ones.
that's always
Yeah.
something that always bugged me about like people like Ice Cube. Like,
Yeah, but
yeah.
like the accusation is literally you're not participating in this cycle of evil. You're a race traitor.
yeah.
It's like, oh geez, buddy. You know?
So I mean,
Well, I think
it's
like a lot of them like were like under contract, they're, like all like
probably.
Boston deals, just like the Bone Thugs.
Yeah.
But like they're like a lot of the last week, me, um, grandma, my aunt who was staying over, and my little brother who was staying over, uh, grandma and uncle. I think I said grandma already, but we
Hmm.
saw the Elvis movie together.
Hmm.
And like, there's this scene in the movie. It's one of those mockumentaries or whatever,
Right. Right.
Okay.
where all of the where it's like it's all based on true events, but they'll change the name or they'll make something more dramatic, right?
Okay.
But the events more or less are true.
Hmm.
The
Is it?
movie didn't conclude with Elvis sitting on the toilet with a sandwich and then dying. The way Elvis died.
Yeah.
But jeez, that was dark.
Was it
But
musically or?
like it had scenes where like Elvis was singing, but it also had like rap renditions that had like Elvis choruses and like
Hmm,
in the rap songs or whatever.
it's weird.
Yeah, but there were scenes where Elvis was singing his songs and things like that. But
Hmm.
like the actual score of the movie
Mm-hmm.
was just garbage. Straight garbage. But the point I was trying to make, bringing up the Elvis movie, is like the Rolling Stones show up in the movie. A bunch of jazz, church music and stuff like that from
Mm-hmm.
from Memphis, Tennessee,
Yeah.
and just Tennessee and the South more broadly. A lot of this stuff plays out, and it just sort of seems like everyone likes the sort of music. Everyone likes music when it's being used in a way to just defy golden handcuffs,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Because like the Rolling Stones were like in the movie were not. I'll spoil spoil the story for the most famous person to ever live.
He
I guess.
dies, right? Oh, go
He
ahead.
does die. Yes, he dies in the movie. It was a big surprise, you know. But oh man, what was I talking about?
With the
So the
Rolling
Rolling
Stones,
Stones
yeah.
say
Spoiler.
something to Elvis to the effect of, "Well, we just go around the world doing whatever we want and playing the music we want to play.
Mm-hmm.
We're very confused about why you still do the thing with the manager. This doesn't make sense."
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like while Elvis is having like an existential crisis.
Right.
I was holding back laughter because it was being treated very seriously, and my grandma and my aunt were in just pure nostalgia mode. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna laugh in the theater, you know. But and those weren't like their exact words or whatever,
Right.
you know. But oh man, and then so like I'm looking at all this stuff, and then when people bring up like black culture, I don't like the argument. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, because at any point, the people in black culture can just do something else
Mm-hmm.
at any literally at any point. At literally any point, the gang leaders can start doing wholesome things. You know, at any point, the people in the gang can be like, I'll do a Italian mafia accent, because if I do a different kind of gang accent, I'll get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yo, boss, why are we stealing the pizza from Luigi's? Why don't we buy some pizza? You have that entire thing of gold right there. Come on. You know, they could do that
But.
anytime, any point.
Mm-hmm.
Any point, like these gang leaders with just giant dragon hordes of wealth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sitting behind them, their thrones made of fives and ones,
Yeah.
you know. They could at any point they could be like, all right, so I'm gonna buy 100 pizzas and I'm just gonna do a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Any point they could do this, but like no, it's always, you know, like I don't dare like go what is it, my grandma's a big fan of Hannity. I don't know why, but like Hannity, in every single episode of Hannity, he's like, so I took a look at the Detroit the Detroit deaths, not
Mm-hmm.
the statistics, just the amount of people that died over the weekend. He does this every Monday,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he's like, so, and then so he has this list that he brings up all the time, where it's literally where he can basically recite this list where like a couple hundred people died
Mm-hmm.
just from gang violence in like one weekend
Mm-hmm.
from like 2009 or whatever. And he can recite like, I've seen him like just do like 40 names. Just
Yeah.
da 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 da, and
Names of
I'm just like,
people that died.
names of people that died from this list from like 2009, and apparently is one of the things that like opened his eyes to how terrible these cities are, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And he brings it up as much as possible because he's got one of the most popular shows in the United States, and this is an American problem, and he's a newscaster. Of course he's going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so he does, and it's an opinion show, so he can get away with it.
Yeah.
So he does this, and I'm just kind of thinking to myself, at any point, at any point, the people who are in this cycle could just do something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any point. At any point, like these people could be neighborly with one another. At any point, these people can help each other out. You know,
Yeah.
anyone in these cities can help each other out to be more self sufficient and less reliant on on the government. If they're clearly observing that these schools are making these children less like
Dumber.
honestly less educated, like
Mm-hmm.
reducing their education.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at any point at any point these single mothers, right, could, you know, put themselves in a little bit of struggle to help their kid. They can homeschool their kids and say, here's a math textbook. I'm going to sit with you for like 2 hours a day with some history, and some basic arithmetic,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because school isn't teaching you this. So I'm going to do this. At any point, these parents could do their job. These police can go the extra mile. These gang leaders can, well, man up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and these children can find father figures.
Yeah.
But it's not happening because it, because everyone here just doesn't want to,
Yeah,
for no reason.
you have to consider like the dangerous concept of being comfortable, and
Mm.
like people like that, like they just get to a point where they're just comfortable where they're at, and putting forth any effort that, like you're saying, like to even teach your kid anything, like
Mm-hmm.
that's just too hard, you know. Mama gotta go to the club and shit, you know. So
Yeah, it goes back to like priorities.
yeah, so
She's like, well, like I don't have money anymore because I spent it all on X this, X that, X this, and so
yeah.
yeah, like they just don't prioritize certain things. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, but also, you know, like there is something to be said about like how it's, you know, seen as cool um to be kind of thuggish or bad, like it to
Like
like
sluggish,
this,
bro.
like the smart kid isn't really cool anymore, and that's unfortunate because
Well, I was a cool smart kid, but that's because I wasn't a wimpy smart kid.
mm,
It's the wimpy smart kid that's not cool, and that's
mhm.
because the wimpy smart kid isn't cool. You know, it's
But
what it
like
is.
easy,
What is
it's
it?
easier to it's easy.
Marucho from Bakugan, that was cool.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't. It's because he was a nerd, but he wasn't wimpy. He
Hmm.
still had courage. You know, the whole point of intelligence is that you're smart. You're smart enough to not take people's shit.
Hmm.
That's the entire point. It's like, I don't have to take your shit. I'm smarter than you. Shut
Yeah.
up. You're an idiot. You know, it's the whole point.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. This is like I remember, like I was always a hip hop fan growing up, and I always was always kind of annoyed that like hip hop groups that I was into, they weren't groups that like um you know, were emphasized that thug culture. They were just making music, but they weren't groups that were getting a lot of airplay. They weren't like number one on whatever chart. It was always the ones that were talking about, you know, smoking weed and getting pulled by the cops and shit like that.
I'm in Gen Z, so when I hear smoke weed, my brain goes, "Ooh, the boomer, the green stuff the boomers hate," you know. Like, of all the things,
Hmm.
yeah, I get that weed used to be illegal and it used to be a bigger deal or whatever, but like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like groups that weren't pushing that kind of stuff out there. They never really got that much what do you call it, like
Yeah, that
airplay.
recognition.
Yeah, that much recognition. It was always like, you know, the big booties and the cars and all that shit. And yeah, man, it's really unfortunate. Like it always made me wonder like how much of that is based on like the demand that people just like that more, or is it just
Mm.
what's being pushed out more by
Well, I don't think it would be I don't think it's as popular as it is because it's just being pushed on to people regardless of whether or not people like it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there's a certain like aesthetic to just to these like aggressive rap songs that do emphasize the sort of thug culture because it does give the aesthetic of self-reliance. It's like, oh, look at me, I have all these cars. Oh, look at me, I have this new watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at me, I have this really I have this woman with a body that has definitely no plastic surgery. You know, this is definitely a real
Mm-hmm.
woman. This woman is definitely authentically feminine and in no way whatsoever a paid actress. Trust me, you know, and
Well,
things like that. And I'm just like,
Mm.
you
well,
could buy a house
Yeah.
for the price of a sports car.
I
If
just
you have
remember like
multiple sports cars, you can buy multiple houses.
Yeah.
And you could do that instead and make a lot more money and like house more people, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Go ahead, David.
well, it seems that you care about like some of the early like '90s hip hop, and like you're wondering why some of these like better rap groups actually didn't make it or didn't get recognized. Like, because there was like a lot of good stuff like back then, like, but
Yeah.
it was
That,
mostly like the gangster rap that made it.
yeah.
And
That's the thing that always bummed me out was, you know, like the '90s were always considered like the golden age of hip hop, but at the time, if it wasn't, you know, Death Row Records or something, you know, that kind of shit, it was usually not really put on a big platform as big a platform as, you know,
it,
the dude smoking weed and all that, drinking 40s and shit like that. Like I don't have anything against that, but just like the
I do.
airtime of it.
I do because I just remember like the second part of that contract
Mhm.
that one of those, I think it was both, it was like two of the members from Bone Thugs that have actually
Mhm.
come out and talked about this contract, was that the second part was that the reason why they were going to push that is because they were at the time, I think they were going to open up these new privatized, I guess, prisons maybe,
Mm.
if I remember correctly, it was like they were going to open up these new private prisons for this reason. And then I also remember like this is like in 1994, that's when Joe Biden pushed the whole like 1994 crime bill, where like, it's like the three strike
Yeah.
you're out sort of like thing where you
Well,
can end up
the
in prison.
three strike thing in and of itself is the only decent thing that's in the 1994 crime bill.
Mhm.
It's the only decent thing. It's
But
like, hey, if
you're not
you're
listening to what
crime,
I'm saying. Hold
it's
on, you're
not
not
legal.
listening to what I'm saying though. It's like they're
Yeah,
creating the contract is creating the problem by creating these rappers to
Mhm.
like sign into this Faustian deal where they promote like that lifestyle, and then they're like,
yeah.
okay, and then let's create law to like lock these like black people in. Essentially,
So it kind
that's
of
what
like
they.
perpetuates this problem of like
Yeah,
they
they
promote
create
it and then they cause it and then
and then
they
they
go to jail.
legislate law.
Yeah.
They legislate law to say, okay, let's put away these black people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like the most racist thing that's ever happened like in history, but people like don't see it.
Yeah. It's also
You know, I
gonna.
found this weird thing where per capita, white people have been arrested more for stop and frisk per capita than black people.
Really.
It was a very funny statistic because because they're like the police would just go to poor neighborhoods, and
Hmm.
turns out there's like a lot of poor working class towns that like in like rural areas where cops would just show up, and because it's like a 3 hour drive to the precinct or to the courthouse or whatever, they would just do it to they just do whatever they want to these people
Yeah.
with no witnesses. It was disgusting and terrifying. It doesn't get talked about.
Oh, I was gonna
Weird.
ask you too, like, what are some of the groups? Because I have like a few too that I thought like should have made done more. But like, what are some of the groups that you think should have gotten more
Uh,
recognition and more successful?
I would say just like someone like like a group like De La Soul, like everyone knows them now, but
Yeah,
I mean, they were, yeah, like they weren't as big as I hope they were. Like I think like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, like groups that like I think just generally made really good, fun hip hop
Yeah.
music. And like I don't, nothing about like their lifestyle or anything is anything that I remember. I just remember the music being good.
Yeah.
But with like Death Row Records and all that stuff, I just remember mostly the thug culture more than the actual music. And
Yeah,
I think
it's
they
funny
should have
'cause-
brought back comedy rap. No, I don't mean like stand up comedy, but I mean that like rap songs that are just meant to be like
just funny.
completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
That
Like,
are just like that are just anthems of pure stupidity.
yeah, those are
You know?
fun. It's just fun,
Yeah.
good songs.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I myself wasn't even like into like rap music that much. Like in the early '90s, because it was like all gangster, all smoking weed, slapping my bitch. It was like I wasn't really into it until like later in the '90s, into like late mid and late '90s, and that was more because of like alternative groups like 311. They got me into like more like De La Soul
yeah.
and all the other hieroglyphics and all the other like more underground dilated people. It was like because it's like so many company flow, LP. What's another one? One guy from he had like such an awesome like monotone voice, like Guru.
Guru. Oh yeah, yeah, Gangstar. Yeah.
Yeah, gangster.
Yeah,
That guy
like
was awesome.
just great groups, but like again, they just didn't get that much of a
The recognition.
platform. I mean, like now people know who they are now, but at the
Yeah,
time they were just sort of pushed aside. And like
yeah,
94, 95, that's like probably like the best era for hip hop
yeah.
music, but it got so ignored because if it wasn't gangsta shit, it just no one really
Yeah,
cared
the only way
about
I
it.
found that was through like other alternative, like 311, or like through skate videos. Like I
Hmm.
found like these other like that was like in that was but like middle or late '90s that I really found
Yeah.
those groups.
Yeah, like a Common, like
Yeah,
his earlier shit,
yeah.
his like mid 90s, late 90s stuff is some of the best stuff you'll ever hear, but at the time it
Yeah,
just didn't really.
same thing with Black Eyed Peas because I remember like I saw one of the
Early
interviews when
Black Eyed Peas is great.
we're really the
Yeah.
very first album was awesome.
Yeah, now they're just, it's just embarrassing what they are now. Oh my god.
And I
There's
think
this
it's
version
Saul
of
part of the
rap
contract. Yeah,
that's coming out in Britain now. It's called drill rap,
The hell is that?
and it is very, very, very aggressive. British immigrant rap music,
Hmm.
and it's worse than our American thug culture rap. It's worse somehow.
Like
You know.
more violent or something, or
Yes, it's very graphic, very violent, very loud. You know,
what's it called? Drill?
it's called drill,
It's-
as in like it
Yeah.
pierces kind of thing. Like,
and,
you know,
Yeah.
and I don't put saying names, but it's always good to like be skeptical or just kind of like be on the lookout because
Hmm.
I don't know a lot even like on the especially on the conservative side. Like I don't know if you guys heard of like Tom McDonald,
Hmm.
yeah.
the rapper. So I don't know, like I've never really been into his music, but like I've noticed that recently one of his videos he has like the PETA symbol painted on his face, and I'm like,
Mm.
how do you how do you? It's like the little spiral, but
Yeah.
it's.
I think in a
I mean,
way,
if you
Tom McDonald is the last rapper. You know,
there's like it's like I can see like it could be like an accident, but like recently he's like, oh, I wasn't aware of this. Like, how can you not be aware of it? You're like rapping about all
he's a
this stuff,
Canadian immigrant.
and you're just
Ugh.
not aware. No, like the PETA symbol is kind of like universal with the whole like with the FBI. Like,
Mhm.
but I don't know if you guys are familiar, like
That's the
the
triangle thing.
the triangle, yeah,
Yeah.
the triangle or the spiral or the heart
Yeah.
inside the heart. It's like the boy lover symbol. So
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
so it's a so all I'm saying is that I don't know for sure, but you guys need to be careful who you listen to and
Yeah.
who you watch.
It also
You could be-
Well,
seems.
I listen to emo music and like a lot of metal and stuff like that, and screamo, and the Attack on Titan soundtrack. So I think I'm perfectly fine. I think absolutely nothing terrible will ever come of that. You know, you could trust me on that one.
Yeah, but it's like it's not that I've never liked any of the gangster rap. You know, I was still a fan of it, but there's just something about like being wrapped up into that kind of that culture that will. I don't know. It especially like that kid, that the video.
Mm-hmm.
That's being wrapped up in that world. Um, it's really gonna turn you into something you don't want to be, and
And it's
Well,
gonna
like,
turn you into to someone else's weapon. Yeah.
yeah,
like I don't like some of these like songs. They just sound like people are getting hypnotized. Like you watch some of these people like listening to the music, like the newer like rap music nowadays.
mm-hmm.
It just seems like the same sort of like this beat. It's just like low, like I don't know, like it just like
Mm-hmm.
keeping them in this sort of like eternal, perpetual like dream state where they're not really awake. They're
Yeah.
like
I can't
awake,
even
but not
listen
really
to rap
thinking.
anymore because of that. There's this background beat that's used in every pop song, every hip hop song, every rap song now, and I like to call it the broken sprinkler because like it rattles for a little bit and then it goes and then it rattles for a little bit. It goes and I can't be bothered with it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, they all sound the
it
same.
makes
Like
rap music a chore to listen
yeah,
to. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's like the words are different, but like the beat is very similar. Like it's just kind of like
Yeah,
it's
yeah. At my job, like they'll be playing like music, and they'll be playing it like for a couple hours, and it sounds like they're playing the same song over and over again, but
Or at
they're
least the same
different.
album.
it's like it's
Uh,
like putting people like on this low frequency. Just sort of like,
yeah.
oh, okay, get on this
They would
low
honestly
frequency.
save money if they just put all of the latest songs from all of the current artists into one album. And they would only have to make like each artist would only have to make one song a year,
Yeah.
and they could all split the funds. Like it would just be really easy.
Yeah.
It's like, American consumer number 3094.
Yeah.
Have you listened to latest album? Yes. American consumer 91. I have listened to latest album. I think latest album good. I think latest album fire. I think latest album bussin'. You know?
Yeah.
It would make pop culture easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can get all of the nonconformist shrills like me. It could get me to take it seriously. You
Yeah.
know, everyone would win. But no, we have to have multiple different records. I'm kidding, but like,
Yeah, I worry about like music in general. Like I know Tom McDonald is doing the thing. I don't really listen to his stuff, but it seems like if something doesn't have like an overtly edgy political thing, it's just going to be kind of ignored.
well, that's
And
because everyone's on edge right now, and
yeah,
half
it's
the country is being treated as second-class citizens
yeah,
by the other half of the country.
yeah, like that
And it's
makes
been going on
sense
for 8
to
years,
me.
so it's understandable why
Yeah,
everyone's upset with one another, because the people who have been treated as lesser for like 9 years now are
yeah,
like, well, I don't see why I should have to take this anymore.
yeah,
You know, that's
Yeah,
why
it's just-
everyone's like, and then the gaslighting abusers are like, what do you mean take this anymore, you snowflake? What are
yeah,
you talking about? What do you mean cancel culture? It's accountability culture. We're
yeah,
holding you accountable for disagreeing with me. You know,
yeah.
also justice for Bodega Bro.
Oh yeah,
I'm just gonna drop that and not give any context because I don't need to give context for it because everyone else already has their opinion about it. So yeah.
yeah. He was fired too, wasn't he?
He was fired from his job
Yeah,
because a bunch of losers took to Twitter and were like, he's making fun of the city for being terrible. But it's like,
yeah.
but
Who
you live in
cares?
the terrible city. Like, why not take his advice and have a grocery store?
Yeah,
Just one. It's just
Oh damn, we've already gone over an hour.
Mm.
I guess
One more thing though, like
go
with Tom
ahead.
McDonald, it's like I find it interesting because I've seen like people that are, I guess you could say, consider themselves Christian, but then like there'll be like images like in his music video where he's like on the cross, like he's Jesus or something. I don't know, like yeah,
No, no,
oh,
no, no. He's not
it's
saying
just like a,
he's saying he's being crucified.
Mhm.
it's the same.
The
It's just
Romans
like really
crucified a
distasteful.
lot of people.
It's like all shock. It's just like, oh yeah, look at me, like I'm getting crucified. Like I don't know. It's just for me, it's just be careful what you guys look at.
Yeah, I just like I said, I just worry that like people are gonna worry or be more interested in like the shock value of music more than just the music itself. Like
Well,
it's
it's basically the
Yeah.
only thing that's left. Like it's even in the like even in like the metal music and screamo scene.
mhm.
There was this oh, what's this band called? I think it's called Falling in Reverse.
Hmm.
Yeah, like they're like they're kind of like an edgier uh
Circa
uh
Survive.
no, they're an edgier MCR, like an edgier My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
No, 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 but they have like no, no, but like their guitar work is better. It's just
Okay.
the singer sings in a similar way, but
Okay.
he has a slightly better voice. Well, nowadays he has like an awesome voice.
Mhm.
Like he has this like weird like hybrid between like he has this like blend between like screamo and opera and like all this stuff.
Hmm.
Like he's this master he's mastered his voice like this, you know. I like as someone who can play a few chords on the guitar, I'm very jealous of, you know, but he sings really well. And they came out with this song, what's it, Zombified. Yeah, and it's literally a song about how terrible cancel culture is. The chorus says you better watch what they say or because they're canceling you or like something like that. I'm just like, it's a little on the nose, you know. It's not very subtle, but I appreciate it,
uh,
you know.
that reminds me. Did you guys see any of those clips of like fuck, Rage Against the Machine performed and like they were um
You mean Raging for the Machine?
yeah, they were like having like fuck the Supreme Court and shit like that. It's
Yeah, I
funny.
saw that. Yeah, like yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just douchey and annoying and
Well, it's either brought to you by Coca-Cola or like Citibank or whatever. So, like, way to go! You're raging against the machine. You know, like
yeah.
it's fascinating to me that people like thought that like left-wing music was like ever counterculture.
Mhm.
This is never counterculture. Sony Records, come on.
Yeah, that always
Come on,
made me kind
Sony.
of like
It's
not
just
take
like
them
it's
seriously.
like "F you, I won't do what you tell me." F you, brought to you by Sony Records.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's just like, no, come on. I'm the Jesus of suburbia. I do nothing. I don't pay my taxes. I smoke. I drink. I snort my grandmother's cocaine or whatever. Brought to you by, you know,
Yeah.
presumably Sony Records. You know, and I'm just I don't know. And then Eminem, what is it? I forget who had. You know what? I think he has an album from Sony Records. You know, you know,
Well,
and it's just like,
he was with Interscope, I think, and
okay,
I think they're like a subsidiary of Sony. I think I could be wrong,
probably,
but
it's just like you can find me the artist that you think is counterculture from like before the internet was a thing,
mm-hmm,
and and I can find you like the
mm-hmm.
people pulling their strings and telling them what they can or cannot sing. You
Yeah,
know,
Well,
always
the
fascinating to me
counterculture
that people thought that
has
it was counterculture. We
well,
ever
well,
had a counterculture until like the past like my lifetime.
mm.
You know.
well, countercultures meant like different things, like based on like
Mm.
like the last count like well there was a counterculture like in reaction to like the Vietnam War, like
Mm-hmm.
the anti-war sort of thing, and now the counterculture stuff that's happening now I think is actually the the conservative movement, just trying to like restore.
Yeah,
like,
that is interesting. That
anything that's good, like in
Well, this has happened everywhere else.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like the pendulum
Incidentally.
swings one way and then it swings the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just also debunked Whig history, which welcome to the team, BA. Whig history is stupid, and I refuse to elaborate. Yep, because I've already explained it.
All right, I guess we should start winding down.
I was just gonna say, like,
ahead.
Rage Against the Machine, like the edgiest thing that they've ever done in their lives is just
Is burn the American flag in the 90s.
yeah, well, the profanity, just say like a bad word, like in the BBC's like, oh yeah, or like
look, mommy, look, daddy, I said the F word. Aren't I a bad boy? I'm such a bad boy. You need to punish me, Sony Records. I'm being a bad boy.
Remember in like one of the video awards, like didn't one of them climb a platform or something because he's so hardcore?
Yeah, that was the next one. The next one I was gonna like bring
some shit like that.
Yeah, it's like super lame. Like,
yeah, I mean,
the last 3 years, you guys had your chance to just say something, and you just acted like little.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you would think anyone with an edge would have like been talking about like this COVID bullshit, but nah, it's they've just been
quiet. Just like simple things against like the mask mandates, vaccine mandates, like people losing their jobs over like not getting vaccinated.
Was it Offspring that like let go of their drummer because of that?
Let go of their drummer because he couldn't get a specific vaccination because he was allergic to it, and his doctor told him no.
Yeah.
His doctor was like, I made this thing called the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm, and if I do this medical procedure on you, I'll be doing harm.
Yeah.
And the band was like, get out, you racist Nazi. Stupid.
So weird, man. It's so weird to see like, you know, against the grain hardcore people be so pro-establishment all of a sudden. I know.
Well, it's because they were always part of the establishment.
Probably, yeah.
You know, it's sort of like how Democrats and Republicans are basically the same two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
But there's like 5 decent Republicans that refuse to play ball, but they're still a part of that like sphere or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like that. It's sort of like Joe Rogan, like he'll say like something edgy and he'll like do whatever he wants and he doesn't have to care about the golden handcuffs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like he'll still apologize to the mob, you know, because he's a part of that class fundamentally, you know.
Yeah,
it's like it's the same thing with Trump too. And like, look, I'm a Trump supporter, you know, but like Trump has this weird fetish with the corporate press that hate him so much, and you know, where he's like giving like exclusive interviews to like the corporate press and stuff like that.
Like Christopher Wallace and shit like that. Yeah,
these people hate you. You've called them names. Like, just go, like, literally do an interview with Tucker.
Yeah,
like, do anything else.
Or did Tim Pool or something like that? Yeah,
Tim Pool would be fair.
Yeah, he would be critical.
That's the thing.
I don't know.
Tim Pool would ask like a question about like the security state.
Mm-hmm.
I want that to happen so much. It's a shame I'm not also a billionaire because I can't like I can't like outprice Trump, you know. But if I had like Elon Musk money, I'd give 100 billion of that to Trump. Like I would straight up liquidate my Tesla shares so that I can get Trump to have an interview with Tim Pool. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
That is worth 20% of your total wealth. It really is.
Or Trump and Alex Jones. That'd be awesome to watch.
No.
No, they would be.
They'd agree on basically everything.
You think?
I don't think like a lot of the conspiracy stuff or whatever. Even though Alex Jones isn't technically a conspiracy theorist, he's technically a journalist. Funny enough, he does investigative work.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, Tim Pool's the only guy I can kind of think of that would be
I think they'll just ask him a lot of
hardball.
questions about like the FBI and CIA and stuff like that, about like the internal workings of the federal government.
Yeah.
That's why that would be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump is the kind of person to brag, and then he would be like, "Yeah, so we did a lot of things. They kept asking me to bomb kids in the Middle East, and I gave in to them once, and then and I'll never make that mistake again." Like that kind of. He'll probably say something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
One can hope, I guess.
Yep.
Or if Trump had a podcast, I think that'd be worth listening to.
I don't know why Trump hasn't started a podcast yet. Like
That would be awesome. Even if it's just him mumbling or whatever, I'd give it a listen, you know. I don't know.
The fake news media, you know, for 3 hours straight.
Yeah, that'd be
So
great.
here's the latest smear from the Washington Post that they were only able to smear me with after I gave them an interview. I gave them a fantastic interview, and because of the fake news media, they treated me like garbage.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, I guess we should wind it down. I guess if Trevor, you want to plug Acropolis, or no?
Okay. Hello, my name is Trevor Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network. You go to theacropolisnews.com/products and use promo codes ANN and July 4 in order to get 20% off all auto renews and your first month free, respectively. Just go to theacropolisnews.com/products. And on theacropolisnews.com, I do a bunch of stuff. I do news stuff. I do some philosophy and culture stuff, going through my aesthetics series, and I'm writing an article currently. I'm 3,000 words into the article, and I'm not even 5% done. It's gonna be really long, you know, and like it's gonna be like an actual like straight up book. Apparently, by the time it's done, and it's about Eren Yeager's enlightened genocide. So yeah, I'm going through Attack on Titan because I'm a nerd. And because I'm a super nerd, I managed to monetize myself doing nerdy things. So if you want to read how much of a Rousseauian Nimrod dipshit that Eren Yeager is, if you like Attack on Titan, I'm sorry, you know, I like it too, and that's why I'm doing this. You go to theacropolisnews.com and just check out all the other stuff. But yeah, support independent news media, and like read long articles and premium podcasts about like philosophy stuff. Got one coming out next week where I'm talking about how the Enlightenment might be the son of perdition. Is it a stretch? Yes, but it's a fun conversation. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'll just end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Be on the lookout for my big cartel store, putting more merch in soon. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.